Hey folks, here we are, episode Lucky 7. So what you're looking at here is the dial graphic printed in reverse on a piece of white decal paper. Now I actually thought about this for a bit before I got the paper because I ordered white and clear. And if I use clear, I wouldn't have to cut out this section here. Right? This is where you actually see the dial work. I'm going to change my battery because my battery is going to die. Be right back. Okay, so back to business. If I used clear on this thing, I wouldn't have to cut out this section. That's where you see the dial pointer. But what I would have to do is put a piece of white paper so you could see these numbers and the logo and this and that, right? There's no such thing as white ink. I actually had people, I'm in the computer industry for a living, and I've had people ask me, where do you buy white ink? You don't. So basically, I chose to go with a white decal. And then all I really have to do is carefully cut out the center part. And the integrity of the decal should be okay because it's really, there's plenty of space on both ends of this thing. I don't have to worry about it doing this and flopping all over the place. If I slide it off correctly, it should work good. Now my other plan is I'm obviously going to get rid of the waste on top and on the bottom, but I'm going to leave a little bit of waste on the sides here. If I take a look at the glass, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that. You should be. The impression is a little bit bigger than the glass already, right? It overlaps by about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to leave just a little bit more so when I slide this thing it just kind of goes like this, and hopefully I can land it straight across. That's going to be the trick. And if not, I have plenty of paper. We're going to keep trying. And if I do this right, it's going to be mounted on the bottom side of the glass, facing out. I'm going to clean the glass first, make sure there's no grease or anything on it. And if I do this right, it should look like a regular dial glass. So that's going to be the plan. So first thing I'm going to do here is get rid of all this waste on the bottom. And I'm not going to leave you watching this. I'll come back and show you when we're ready to start to the next step. Okay? Okay, we've made all of our all of our cuts, and you probably can't see this, but I've cut out the section here, right there, and we've got this thing trimmed. And I'm not so worried about the top and the bottom because I can always trim it when it's on the glass. So really, all that's left to do is wipe this down, wash it, make sure it's clean, grease-free, fingerprints off, soak this in some water, and slide it on. Let's see what happens. I don't know if I should let you guys watch or not. What if I mess up, right? So let me get that stuff prepped up. I'll decide if I'm going to let you watch me or not. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to let you come along for the ride. If it's a bomb, it's a bomb. We'll all learn together. So a couple things that could go wrong here. The ink could run on this thing. I don't think so because it's made for an inkjet printer. I could put it on crooked and it rips. I got the piece of glass right here. Or it could go on perfectly and we don't have anything to worry about. So we're just going to dive in. What the hell, I could always print another one and do it, right? So let's just drop that in the water. Let that sit there for a second. It's warm water. I'm going to make sure that's nice and submerged for a second. Not too long. Okay, now I already see some ink running on this thing. See that? See it in the water? That's a problem. Okay, so the one little detail I missed is you have to spray the decal with Krylon Crystal Clear to seal it before you put it in the water. Live and learn, folks. That's why we're here. I'll be here all week. So I'm going to print another one, and we'll get this thing set up, and we will try it again. Of course, we're going to spray it with some Krylon this time. So that should stop the bleeding. We shall be back. Alright guys, we're going for try number 2 here. So here's another print of the dial. And what I did this time is I've given it a clear coat. Actually 2 coats already of this Krylon Crystal Clear acrylic coating. There's the number. That's what the manufacturer of this paper says, which I didn't read the first time. So that's how you learn. So it says here that it's fast drying, and it reads, let's see, it'll dry in about 10 to 15 minutes and handle time is 2 hours. I've just done this, so I'm going to let this sit for the full 2 hours, although I didn't really put a thick coat on here. Obviously it's a piece of paper, but I'm going to let it sit for the 2 hours, make sure it's fully cured. Then I'm going to cut it out, just like I did the other one. Cut out the center, and then we're going to dip it in water, and we're going to try to mount it on this glass and hope that the colors don't run. So that's the plan. So we'll come back when it's time to do it, and I'll show you guys again. All right, be back. Okay, we have our decal cut out. We've got the hole again cut here for the diode. We've left a little slack on both ends so we can slide it onto the glass. And we're going to prep it for dipping in the water again. So we'll be back and show you what that looks like. Okay, we've got our pan of warm water. Here's our decal. Here's our glass. And the plan's going to be soak it. Use this tweezer to separate it. And slide it right on there and hope we get it straight. So this may be our second reject. We'll find out. So let's throw it in the water, see what happens. I'm actually going to make it a little bit shorter because I think the pan is going to be a problem. So let's trim a little bit off this thing. We'll still have plenty of room here. Okay, that's been done. Actually, I'm going to test this piece and see how quick I need to leave it in the water. I think that's enough. Okay, it's sliding off. And if I take my tweezer and I grab this piece of paper and try not to grab the decal with it, there it is. You probably can't see that on the camera. Looks like we got a couple of air bubbles. Alright, that worked out pretty good. It's very thin. You can't see it. Actually, maybe you can right there. So there's the piece we just put on there. So that worked pretty good. So let's go for it. Let's make sure the glass is clean. Alright, let's do it. In the drink. Looks like I'm seeing a little bit of color running here again. That's not good. Yep, there it is. Yep, it's another failure. One thing I noticed on this Krylon acrylic that I used, when I shook it, there was no ball inside of it. I wonder if the ball is jammed and it didn't mix correctly. So we're going to go for the number 3 attempt now. Alright, be back. So here's a funny one. As I was driving to Home Depot to get the new can of crystal clear enamel, I realized that I was using the wrong paper. I was using the clear paper. And like I said earlier, you don't get white ink on a printer. So I've now, I'm just in the process now of printing a new version of the dial glass on the white decal paper. And I've tested it, and this is what it looks like. Alright, that's it right there. Alright, so we'll get to it. This is an oil-based enamel, so it's going to take quite a few hours for this to dry. So obviously we're not going to get to this today. We're going to spray it, let it dry really well, and tomorrow we'll probably do the decal. We'll come back when we're ready for that. Okay, they say the third time's the charm. Well, here it is. This is on white decal paper, and you could see from the gloss there, from the light, that we've got the crystal clear enamel applied properly. So my hope is that we put this thing in the water and the colors don't run because it's sealed in nicely. So you could see that glare there. So we're gonna set up here to dip it in the water and try to apply it again to this piece of glass. So let's see if the third time's the charm. Be back. All right, here goes nothing in the water. I did put a little water on the glass this time. This way, when I apply the decal, I've got some room to move it. I didn't do that last time. So let's throw it in, see what happens. I don't see any color running. That's a good thing. Just going to let that soak just another couple of seconds. I guess this is the moment of truth, huh? So what I think I want to do here, let's see. See if we can get a corner separated here. Should be right about there. This will be a miracle if it works. All right, I think it's applied. Now we're just going to gently pat and get some of these air bubbles out. Make sure we smooth it. Some of you are probably thinking, look at this dummy. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Well, that's true. But that's how you learn. Let's see what we got on the other side. Look what we got. It's backwards. How'd that happen? Okay, we've reprinted our dial image here on white decal paper now, so I don't have to worry about these numbers and the logos all being clear. And you can see I've sprayed it with the Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. You could tell by the reflections there, so it's drying. One change of plans though, because this decal is not clear, I'm not going to be able to mount it on the bottom of the glass. I have to mount it on top. All right, that's just the way it works. So I can use a clear decal and then put paint on the back of it, which I don't want to do because it'll bleed in. It's just, I don't think it'll look great. I think this will be just fine mounted on the front of the glass, like so, and I think we're going to be just fine with this plan. So that's what we're going to do. This has to dry for about 4 hours. Then we're going to cut it and we're going to try to apply it. I did do a test decal with a piece of decal paper that's been treated with the Rust-Oleum, and it works fine. It doesn't bleed out. So next time we come back, this thing will be on the dial glass. All right, we'll be back. Okay, third time is the charm here, guys. So we're ready to go. Here she is, and you can see she's nice and glossy from the clear coat. I'm just going to remind you that I have to place the decal on top of the glass instead of behind the glass. And the reason why is because this is a white decal, it's not clear. So if I were to stick this on the back, you wouldn't be able to see anything because it's got white on top of it, right here, underneath this paper. So that's the downside of using a white decal. And why did I use a white decal? Because they have this white lettering, right? But for this radio, it's going to be fine because there's no dial light, and I'm not really going to worry about it. We're going to place her on the glass, and we're going to have some fun with it. So first thing she'll do is she'll go in the drink, like so. And we'll leave that in there for just a moment. While that's in there, we're going to put some water on the glass here, just to make sure it's lubricated. Okay. We have another rag here ready to help us when we're ready, and you'll see the color is not running, which is good. I think that's going to be okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this down here, and I can see it's already sliding off. So we're going to position this on the, of course my battery died right in the middle of that. Let's put this light on so you can see a little better, because we've got some sunlight coming in here and it's creating a shadow. Alright, so we have the decal on here. So all we're really doing now is we're just lightly going over it to get rid of any air bubbles. Like so. Actually having this cut out in the center is a godsend, because any bubbles that are in there will just come out very easily. We're just going to make sure it's positioned correctly. I think right about there is good. It actually should probably come this way just a little bit, so I can trim off on the ends, like that. And probably what I'm going to do here is I'm probably going to put another coat of the enamel on here, the clear coat enamel, just to protect it. I think right there is going to be the ticket. This seems to be centered correctly. Just like so. And I don't have to worry so much about the top and the bottom, because they fit into a groove in the radio right here. Let's turn this around. And I'm not going to pick it up yet because I want it to set. I'm just going to continue to dab it just a little bit. Gonna make sure we get all the water out of there, and we allow the adhesive a chance to dry. So we're just going to pat up and down gently. We're going to check it. See a few small air bubbles right here. As you get the air bubbles out, the water comes out, right? Very cool. I think right there is good. There you go. It's a dial glass. See what I mean about the white on the back? Okay, there's our dial glass. We're going to let this fully cure. I'm going to trim off these ends that we don't need on this side right here, and then we're going to put a shot of clear coat on it, and we're going to put it back on the radio, and we're going to be good. We have ourselves a new dial plate. I didn't have to spend $50 at radio days. How cool is that? Okay, so what did we learn about decals? First of all, you have to choose if you want to use clear or white. You have to decide if you're going to flip it up, flip the image on the back side, or put it on top. If you're using white, you have to put it on top. If you were using this for a radio with a dial light, I still think it would shine through. Matter of fact, we could actually test that. Let's see. Let's turn this lamp off here. I think we can handle this right now. Yeah. Shines right through that white. That's good. That's cool. Alrighty. I'll come back to you when this is installed back on the radio, and then we're going to end it after that, because I'm going to have to just reinstall the rest of the radio inside the case. I don't need to show you that. And I will feature the final version of this radio in my first video, which I'm going to be building a modification for a guitar, a bass pedal, working with Brendan. I've already done a prototype and it sounds decent. I'm going to keep honing it, but I'm going to start off that episode showing you what this looks like. So thanks for coming along for the ride. We made a lot of mistakes and we learned a lot about decals. So remember, if you're going to use inkjet decals, make sure you spray it with an acrylic. And just to show you what I used this Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. Same thing I'm going to spray it with again before I install it. and we're going to let it dry. All right. Last shot of this video will be this dial glass back in the case. There goes my battery again. Be back. Okay, we put a nice coat of the crystal clear enamel on here, and before we put it back in the radio, I'm just going to show you one more time. Close up. I think she looks pretty good. Not bad. There's a couple of lines of glare here you see from the light. That's glare. There's really nothing there. So we're good to go. This was fun. And again, our back looks just like that. So we're in good shape. It's protected. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's put her in. Okay, we're bringing you along here for the progress. So we've got the dial glass installed. We've got the speaker installed. You can see she looks real good. Looks real nice. I'm going to have to do a little bit of refinishing on the cabinet, which I'll have to take everything out again. But you can see that dial glass has got nice shine. And we'll give you a look on the inside how things look. And you'll put a light on so you can see. And what you've got here is obviously your speaker. There's our tone control, which we're going to wire. I did replace this and put a Molex connector on here, and I'll do the same thing on the radio. Here's our dial glass, and here's the two clips that hold it in. And what I used, those of you that work on radios, you probably know that there's usually a piece of almost like a piece of rubber glued to the dial glass so it doesn't crack when you connect it. I found this, it's almost like a foam rubber. It's really cheap. Got like 1,000 sheets on Amazon for like $10 or something. So what I did here, and I'll zoom in so you can see it. We should be able to go right down here on this one. Let's move that just a little bit. So you can see the clip that's there. There's the black piece right there. And I just put a little dab of Elmer's glue on there to hold it in place. And I've got one on the other side as well. And I did this on this side here. Same thing. And then obviously when you turn the cabinet over, you don't see where I installed it over here, right? So it's not showing there. And you can't see it there either. Okay? So that just kind of protects the glass and makes sure it doesn't break, and that kind of thing. So we're going to zoom this back out. And now next step is just going to be to install the radio in here and turn it on. Let's see what it sounds like in the cabinet. So really, really cool. So I would say on the dial glass, it came out okay. It didn't come out excellent. It came out okay. It came out probably as good as I thought it would. And, it's okay. I was like, for example, this word broadcast, I probably should have moved it over a little bit because you could see it's a little bit under the cabinet here. But I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, that's for sure. So let me get the radio in there and then we'll power it up and we'll wrap up the series. And by the way, the MP3 port that I said I'm going to put in here, I'm not doing that yet, and I'll explain why before I close out the video. Be back. Back in the cabinet. I don't have the antenna connected yet, and I'll start off the next episode of my series with this radio finished. But you see we've got it in there, and you can see the dial pointer right there. There's a little bit of glare here from the lights in the room, but you can see that the dial pointer turns just fine, and we're good to go. All right. So we're going to wrap up this video because it's probably going to be rather long with the decal bloopers. So I think we're in good shape, and we'll open up our next series with this radio working and playing. So hopefully you learned something about the decal process and how you can do it kind of cheap if you have an inkjet printer and some decal paper. All right, you guys take care. Bye.